Welcome to Dose of Social, your recipe for social media success. I'm Lindsay Mauk.
I'm Kayla Pearlstein.
And this is
Dose
Dose of
of
Social.
Social.
Always got to surprise you with the new intro. So today's guest, I am super excited to introduce Bilal Kaiser of Agency Guacamole. Thank you, Bilal, for joining us today.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, Bilal, why don't we go ahead and get started by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work you do at Agency Guacamole?
Yeah, thanks so much, ladies. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm Bilal. I'm the founder and principal at Agency Guacamole. My baby that is now turning 10 years old this year. So it's our 10-year anniversary. Super excited to celebrate that all year long. Um, Essentially, the story is I've been in marketing PR my entire career. And after working on the corporate side at some decently sized companies, I wanted to start something on my own and really focus on the kind of projects that bring me joy. As foo-foo as that might sound, and that includes influencer marketing, PR, and events. And so I started AG with just those lines of work capabilities. Over the last 10 years, we've built a team of about 25 people. Most of us are in LA, some of us in New York. We focus primarily in beauty and lifestyle, so hair, skin, color cosmetics, and within the pillars I mentioned earlier, influencer marketing, PR, and events, we still operate within those. But obviously, as the market's changed a lot, and we can talk more about that later, about influencer marketing in particular. But as the landscape shifted and evolved, we've grown with it, and I'm really proud of the work we've done. And then outside of the agency portion, I started something in 2018 called Blend Beauty, Lifestyle, Nurturing Diversity, which is an industry event for people in our category to come together and talk about conversations to increase representation, which now more than ever is such an important task for us to take on.
I love that. And Bilal, you and I met, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, or was it longer than that now? I
I think it
feel
was
like
longer. I think it
I
was
think it was
longer.
in the first year or 2 of you starting Agency Guacamole when I was working at General Assembly as a social media and digital marketing instructor. You
Whoa.
were also working at General Assembly as an instructor as well.
Yes, good memory. General Assembly, UCLA, USC. I remember I was doing the education circuit for a while, which I love, but as you know as well, it takes a lot of energy and time. So yeah, it's been a while.
Wait,
Yeah.
Bilal, what did you teach at General Assembly?
I think it was like a mix of social content, email marketing,
Email, I
um,
remember you taught email marketing.
right?
I don't think I ever took
CRM.
one of his classes.
You did?
I don't think I
Stop.
did. That's how I
Oh,
met Lindsay, though.
okay. I was
Yeah,
that's
Kayla and I
extra
met.
small worldy if you'd taken a class.
Yeah, Kayla and I met. She was a social media marketing student, and we stayed in touch ever since.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's
And
so
look at us
cool.
now.
And
And
now
General
look at us
Assembly is
today.
gone, right? It's not there anymore?
I think it's online only, but I don't think the classes, like the in-person classes like you and I did, Bilal, back in the day, I don't think that exists anymore, which
Got
is
it.
sad.
Okay. Bummer.
But just so amazing to see what you've grown over the years with Agency Guacamole. Congratulations. That's so
Yeah, that's
incredible.
awesome. 10
Thank you.
years.
I appreciate that.
So, for anyone who may not be familiar, you explained that you work with influencers, you do events. Can you explain a little bit about what you do with influencers, specifically in regards to mailings and samplings?
Ooh,
Because I think that is something really interesting that we would love to dive into today and learn more about how they fit into a modern marketing strategy.
you got it. All right. So big picture to small picture. The big picture from an influencer marketing point of view, we work on primarily four kinds of influencer programs. An ambassador program, which is all year long, a pay per play or one-off program, which is, something happens, we pay people, they create content, we move on. Another one might be sourcing and seeding, and the fourth one might be UGC content factory is the word we use, the term we use to describe like a content factory model where users who look like our clients' target consumers create content at scale. So for those last two, and actually I would argue for any influencer programs, in our category, beauty products, you have a physical product that you want to get into the hands of the people creating content. So that could be influencers, pro influencers like hairstylists, colorists, consumer influencers, makeup artists, you name it. And then on the consumer side, people who look like your clients' consumers who want to use a product, test it, play with it, post about it. So when it comes to mailers, we do, oh my God, over the years, we've probably done like hundreds, if not thousands of mailers at this point. volunteer. So super basic where you have a box, product goes in it, it gets shipped out, or something more complex. And I have a couple examples to show you. We actually opened our own warehouse here in LA. So I guess I just love making things more complicated in my life. Why just stop at running an agency? Let's build an operations business. But we have a warehouse where we can receive clients' products at scale, hold on to them. When we create these custom boxes, fulfill, pack and ship, and then get them out to get the product out there. So it's full cycle. So you get the campaign and concept, but also the actual mailer. So this is an example we did for our client Redken. It's a pro hair brand. And this particular one features their global celebrity ambassador. Her name is Sabrina Carpenter. You may have heard of her. So this is, it starts off with a concept. We have a product, we have talent. How do we create something in a box experience that's fun and compelling, but also will want people to post about it, want people to talk about it? And so you go through many rounds of iterations, you find the right, box partner, etc. This particular one, it's a top fold, so it comes out like this. You see we have, a couple insert cards, the actual product inside, and some filler material, as well as education. In a lot of pro-facing mailers, we have to include education because you want people to use the product in the right way versus just playing with it. And so that's always important here. Another example might be this is something we did years ago for our client Matrix, another hair brand. But this product, you'll see it says break in case of hair emergency. The client's inspiration, she literally said, I was inspired by a fire extinguisher, break the glass sort of thing. How can we make that a mailer? When I tell you, my team and I lost so much sleep and had felt so much stress in the weeks leading up to it because it turns out you don't want to ship glass in a mailer. You don't want people to get cut or hurt themselves in some way. So ultimately, we landed on this version of it. It's a corrugated cardboard, but it had perforation, and we shipped it with a mallet. So you break in case of hair emergency, and the product inside is what comes out. So cool concept, still gets
That's so
her vision
I
across.
love that.
no, so cool. Nice job.
That's so creative. Good job.
It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but we did it.
So, when it comes to these influencers, how do you guys find them? Are there certain tools that you use?
Yeah, it's when it comes to sourcing talent, there are a lot of tools. So obviously, we'll use a native platforms when relevant, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, what have you. There's also other tools. There's a couple really big ones. You probably heard of Tracker, TRAACKR. That's good for not only finding but also measuring performance. There's a lot of smaller tools over the years. We used one recently called Upfluence. That's been helpful. The challenge is, especially on a platform like TikTok, and to some extent Instagram, but mostly TikTok, influencers or people attain a lot of followers very quickly. It's something I call the overnight influencer, where because of one video or because of one piece of content, you could become really wide, go really wide really quickly. And so sometimes the only way to find those people is through the native apps. But yeah, they're tools. We use a bunch of different ones to find the right people.
That's so interesting. And do you like working with the overnight influencer, or do you prefer more of the longtime creator who's been around for a while?
Here's what I'll say to that. Great question, Lindsay. The people who've been around for a while, the people for whom being a creator is a business, know what it means to be professional in this space. Responding to emails, the right contact information, understanding contracts, understanding rates. The challenge with the overnight influencer is it's usually just the average person who may not fully understand the nuance of how this is a business. So I will say that typically, if I'm doing um, a serious campaign or I really need the right kind of talent to show up in the right way for a brand, I'd go with the person who's an actual creator. But occasionally, it's fun to partner with these overnight influencers just to get a fun piece of content and then move on.
I love that. So it's the right influencer at the right time, right?
Yeah.
What would you say separates strategic influencer sampling from brands just randomly sending product and hoping for results?
Oh, yeah. I would say if you're looking at like a seeding campaign, meaning your objective as a brand is to get as many of your mascara into the hands of people that need to use them. Just you want to build awareness and trial and really get them to try it out. I think the strategic way would be to fully understand what your product is, in this case, mascara, and who the consumer is, and only focus on shipping out to them. Because the super, what's it called? The spray and pray, where you just send out as much as possible and hope something returns. I think in this landscape, it's more difficult for a number of reasons. One, the volume of product. Two, the amount of content. And three, the amount of competitors. And so I think strategic sampling in this way would be, we found, we've intentionally found 100, 500, 1,000 people who look like a her consumer, the right they're primed to want to use a mascara of our type. They want to spend the price point that we offer our product at. They know our brand and our values, etc. And then we're shipping to them. And then what we found in those cases is that the return, which in this case is organic content, free content, can be 25, 35, up to 50% after the mailing. On the flip side, if you're literally just putting product in a box and sending out to whoever wants to receive it, you're going to end up with just a lot of lost product and not a lot of content.
That makes sense.
And when do you think a brand should invest in sampling versus doing a partnership, for example, with sponsored content with a creator?
Yeah, so in the consumer packaged goods space, I would say if you are a mass product or your price point is more just everyday consumer, so not expensive, I would say sampling should be happening very quickly because ultimately that's you're working in a scale based revenue capacity, so you need to have a lot of people trying your product to get them to move product for you. And so obviously mailers is one type of sampling. There's in-store, there's pop-up, there's partnership at events, event inclusion, gift bag, etc. So fully looking at those. I would say creator partnerships are also relevant, but the challenge I think for smaller brands is budget. It used to be, I mean, Lindsay, Kayla, you probably as well, in the early days of influencer marketing, back when they were bloggers, you could just send them things and they'll do stuff for you for free. But that really hasn't happened for a long time, especially once these creators are getting actual followings. Um, yeah, so I would say sampling I would prioritize over brand partnerships only because budget can be a challenge. But if budget is there, then I would honestly do it in a fairly synchronized fashion because that allows you to have consumers receiving product that they opted in for and they're excited to receive. At the same time, they start seeing content pop up from creators they follow and care about, showing those people using the product, which then incentivizes them to be part of that conversation.
That's so interesting.
Mhm. Going back to the mailers, I know you showed us a couple and they were really cool, but what would you say makes a good mailer? What helps it stand out? Is it the packaging, customization, or something else?
Can I be like cliche for a second? It's really
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's really the storytelling opportunity, especially now when every brand does PR mailers. You've seen the unboxing videos. These creators have piles and piles of just boxes just waiting to be opened. So I would say the story has to be cool. The visuals, of course, the material and the feel, absolutely. One trend that I'm seeing a lot with boxes is brands really going out of the box and doing some really interesting uh, in-person extensions of the opening. For example, I want to say it was L'Oreal Paris. They had Bethany Frankel show up to certain people's houses with the box. Obviously, it's planned; it requires some sort of planning, but that was the experience. You're not just getting a box; you're getting a delivery from Bethany Frankel. I think dressed as a fairy. We just did an example, like the Sabrina Carpenter one. We did it for I think the top X number of hair influencers, consumer and pro, and they received a delivery in like a cool vintage car that had like the Red Sabrina branding with these handsome men that showed up in costume delivering the gift that they were getting, which makes it a lot more compelling of a storytelling moment. Obviously, it's not scalable to the extent a product in a box can be, but I found those to be fun.
That reminds me of what was it, Sweet 16 on MTV when they would deliver the invitations to their friends.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. What's old is new again.
I
Yeah.
know. It reminds me of when I ran the Nike women's half marathon and there were firemen dressed in tuxedos at the finish line with Tiffany's necklaces.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
And literally everyone wanted to do this race to run and get a Tiffany's necklace from a fireman in a tuxedo at the end.
Of course.
I love that. So you talked a little bit about ROI on influencer mailings, but how do you advise your clients on expectations and what success should look like for an influencer mailing?
So I think once you have your objective from the start, you can define a KPI or what metric you're going to look at. So if your objective is just hands in product, the sheer volume of people opting in to receive your product becomes a KPI. If it's to a secondary one is to get organic content or whatever, you can say, all right, 100 boxes went out. 50 of those people posted about it. That's 50% posting rate. That's significant, right? Here's what worked well. Here's how we did it. Let's replicate it in a different way. I would say that overall, just know what your vision is before you send these boxes out, because it is also an exercise in budgeting and making sure you're creating the right experience based on your budget for the boxes. But tying it back to whatever metric is important to you. Even like promo codes are still interesting. Using QR codes everywhere for education, but also discounts and sampling, or stay opted in to receive more news about future launches by signing up here. Really connecting it back to whatever communication channels are important to you.
And are there a minimum number of samples that you recommend sending, or is it purely based on client objectives and what their desired outcome is?
Oh man. A little bit of both. I'd say if you really want to actually like make a dent and it's brand awareness, like it was at least 500 to 1,000 to really get enough product and show traction. On the flip side, I have worked on campaigns where we wanted to be sort of secretive and minimal and exclusive. So only people, whose names are Kayla and Lindsay might get this box, and here's the reason why, and here's why they're special. And now because it's so limited and exclusive, you all have access, and now you're perhaps more incentivized to post. So it really depends, obviously by brand, what the launch is about, what the moment in time is about, etc.
I don't know if you already shared one, but if you didn't, could you share one of your favorite mailers or standout campaigns that you've
Oh
executed?
my gosh, there are so many. Okay, I'll show you this one example. This was with our client, Carol's daughter. This is when The Little
Oh,
Mermaid was
yeah.
released, yes. And so you may remember there was a lot of conversation online that were upset about Ariel. That's the character, right? Ariel being cast as with a black actress, and we don't really stand for that kind of stuff. So we were especially excited to work on this mailer and create a storytelling moment. And what ended up happening was this is like a multi-tiered box. It's hard to show on camera, but it has the products in there, and then you take out this level. There's more, more underneath it. Let your curls sing. And what we also did in parallel with these boxes going out, this was, I think, a few hundred-person mailer. We also had a storytelling campaign with moms of young girls talking to their kiddos about their hair journey, their hair texture, wash day, whatever the case might be, and making that a really heartfelt, beautiful storytelling moment, which then follows with this box going out to lots of people following those communities. And it was really special because, it's nice to support mother-daughter doers in this way, but especially within the larger social conversation that was happening. I felt really, I felt very proud that we were able to be part of that in a small way.
That's really cool.
I love that. Awesome. So let's get into events, which is another area
What?
of expertise for Agency Guacamole. How do you approach events at your agency?
We have an in-house events team, so we handle it from creative strategy, the vision, what is the everything from like the big photo moments, the decor, down to like the cocktail napkins and the cocktails themselves. I will say events post COVID are back so intensely. The challenge that I've seen, I don't know if y'all have seen this in your worlds, but the timelines are getting shorter. And maybe it's a budget thing that money opens up and we have to spend it quickly, or launches are happening faster. But we found that clients want to do events in like the mid-tier budget range more and more frequently, but with a faster lead time. So that's been interesting. But events are fun. Consumer events, influencer events, pop-ups, mobile tours, college-themed events, salon events, makeup artist events, runs the gamut.
What would you say makes an event stand out or make it shareable on social?
Kayla with the tough questions today.
And
What?
is that one of your KPIs? Is getting your event to be shared across social something that matters to your clients?
Yeah, it 100% is. And in our programs, oftentimes there's cross collaboration between like the influencer teams and events team. Carol's daughter, we've done events over the years for them as well. For this particular one, had we done an event, we would have had the influencers that we had contracted for content, and maybe some consumers receiving the mailers invited to the event, right? Making that a full cohesive storytelling moment. But I would say what makes it successful is really making sure we understand from the attendees' point of view what's important to them and what will make them want to take photos and post. And that's going to be different from someone who works in a salon all day to a skincare influencer who is a Gen Z beauty girly. So really understanding that market uniquely, and what's compelling for them. Some might be more interested in the food cuteness versus a massive installation versus an artist integration.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if activations were still a thing at events.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And what we're finding is that we're infusing in like educational moments. I mentioned that earlier a bit ago, but helping the attendees understand the product, its benefits, usage, efficacy, et cetera, is becoming more and more important. Because at least in beauty and lifestyle, the sheer volume of brands and conversation happening is staggering. And we have to find a way to get our client's name and their story to the forefront.
Mhm.
And how can brands extend the life of an event digitally? How do you guys work to expand that footprint before, during, and after the events that you work on?
Yeah, I think a lot of communication around teasing what's to expect, what we would love for them to do. Make sure you check out this wall, make sure you use this hashtag, make sure you tag this brand, whatever, during really creating an experience that they're excited to be at. Oftentimes, PR agencies, communications agencies get a bad rep for being snooty or attitudey at events. We really try to go the other way. We want to be the you can sit with us sort of vibe. So come, we welcome you, we'll give you a tour, we'll make sure you meet the right people so you feel as a content creator, as an influencer, whatever, you are part of the conversation. You're being, recognized, treated as a VIP, and then post really following up with photos or any videos from videographers right away, through email, through DMs, what have you, making sure you're supporting their content, right? So we do what's called community management, where if a brand posts or consumers engage with a brand on their individual channels, we're responding on behalf of the brand, connecting with them, the consumer, getting them excited. So happy you could make it, Lindsay. Your dress looked gorgeous. Make sure you post, or whatever. And then on the flip side, when you post, engaging on behalf of the brand to show the support that it is an ongoing conversation versus a one-off attendance.
Yeah, that engagement is so important.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, people like to forget that social media is about being social.
Really,
Social.
I know. It's like you just need like a really good dose of social to keep it social.
Right?
There you go.
Okay, so can you now share a successful event you've worked on and the type of coverage you've received?
Oh my
Making you
Yeah.
think today.
No, I love it. One of my favorite events is you're asking me like pick children, right? My favorite child. It's that's not nice. But what I'll tell you is I'll give you a couple examples. We one of our clients is Therabody. They have a beauty division called Therabody Beauty, and we did an event for them for their depuffing wand. It's a product that's it's travel friendly product that you use for your under eye bags. And as we were coming up with a cool concept, the direction we all decided to go in was this around bye bye baggage. So depuff your bags, no under eye bags, bye bye baggage. And so this travel theme started to come to life. And what ended up happening was the timing was around New York Fashion Week, September-ish, and we took over a raw gallery space and built an experience that brought to life this bye bye baggage theme at every touch point. So first, for example, you come in, you check in, you get a boarding pass, and each station you go to, you like check you off or tear something off. The gift bag station was like, a baggage claim or a baggage carousel where you could grab your stuff and go. We had a coffee partnership, so like in-flight dining sort of theme things, custom partnerships like Tony Chocolonely, several photo moments. And what I loved about it was the theme came to life in such a beautiful way while still being true to the product, right? It made sense. The travel friendly product, we're playing with the words bag and baggage because under eye bags. And the results were amazing. The attendees loved it. We had press, consumers, educators, people in the skincare space, and everyone posted about it and really just got in on the fun.
Sounds like I need to check out this depuffing wand.
Yes, yes. It's good. It works. Devices are really having a moment right now. We're happy to be part of this one. Yeah, and then we've done smaller things too. Like I think for Maybelline New York a few years ago, they were launching a collection called the Green Collection, so like vegan, natural ingredients in the products. And so we found it was in LA. We found a farm, a literal farm in the middle of LA. It's like close to Hancock Park, and these people have this property. There's a little farm in there, and so we hosted an influencer dinner for about 20 people at the farm, and it was gorgeous. But it really tied in the story of like natural and green and healthy, and that was great.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It
Yeah.
does. So this year you're celebrating 10 years in business, as we talked about earlier. And so you've been doing this a long time, even before you started Agency Guacamole. But what do you think has changed the most in influencer marketing in PR in the last 10 years? And what key lessons would you share with brands who are navigating it today?
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, what hasn't changed?
Everything has changed.
Exactly, literally, not to make a joke out of it, but totally. Like, okay, on the PR side, outlets, media companies, magazines, newspapers, a lot of them are gone. writers that used to be on staff are now almost all freelance and all over the country versus just New York or LA. So the space itself is changing. Influencers, not only are there more platforms and more tiers, but also the way influencers work with brands. What are they required to do? What are they expected to do? And how can brands actually make sure they're spending money in the right way? So I would say this constant state of evolution has been the key learning for me as a person in this space. Um, I also think it's just so fascinating that on the flip side, so not on the industry side, but the consumer side, Lindsay, you may have heard this when you were teaching, but Gen Zers and perhaps younger than them look as influencing as a potential career path. And that's fascinating too. Like if you'd asked me 10, 20, 30 years ago, like what do I want to be when I grew up, being an influencer would never even have been, on the radar. But now that's the thing that people aspire to do. And people feel they can do, like even if they don't have a quote business strategy, like they just want to post on TikTok and go viral, right? Did we know the word viral? Did we ever use the word viral as much as we do now? No. So I would say killer number one, significant evolution in the overall marketing PR space, and killer number two, being comfortable with being adaptable, being comfortable with constant change, being nimble. And then I guess the third one I would say is really focusing, for me at least, on areas of the business that bring me joy. Because I'm telling you, if I didn't like everything we've talked about today, I would be really miserable as a human being because it gets bananas and it's a lot of thankless hard work and it's a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears, as I said earlier. But luckily I enjoy this stuff. I like telling stories. I like connecting with people. So
I also
those are
like how
my
you mentioned being nimble. I feel like that's such a big piece of marketing because things change like all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally right. But it's fun. Right? I think we're sort of primed for that in the marketing space, like social media space. Like it's more comfortable, I think, for us in this space to be in that mindset versus maybe a different field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all have to work hard to keep our fingers on the pulse of new and emerging trends and technologies and what's going on because it is so different than it
Yeah.
was, even a year ago. I mean,
Mhm.
look
Yeah.
at how much AI has evolved just in the last year.
Yeah.
That could be a whole other episode.
So, Bilal, what key learnings would you share as an entrepreneur for our listeners?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so grateful that our company is turning 10, and it absolutely has not been an easy ride, especially considering forget stuff in our world, but just the world. I mean, COVID was a thing, multiple recessions, like that's one thing after another. I would say three broad lessons as an entrepreneur is number one, really focus on what value you can bring as an entrepreneur in the space you want to play in. I think sometimes people like the concept of wanting to be a business owner or do their own thing without actually honing in or being intentional about what that thing is. And like I said earlier, you really should love what you're doing because otherwise it'll really just, you'll hate showing up to work every day. The second one I would say is really build and nurture your network. I mean, Lindsay and I, perfect example. We've known each other for a long time, and we check in periodically to see how things are going, and so often just even get feedback or gut checks. Hey, I'm dealing with this situation. What do you think about that? It's good to have people you can count on. Eventually, obviously, they'll send business your way too, but it's really just making sure you have people in your space who you can lean on, so you don't feel like you're on an island by yourself. And then I would say the third one would be think about your entrepreneurial or your business values. I mean, especially now, we ask, celebrities and actors and musicians and brands to have values and share them and be clear about who they are. But I think even as the people in our space who are in the background, I think it's important for us to have those too, especially as the world gets crazier, especially as more is asked of us through creators, through brands. It's important to understand what you stand for and the kind of company or the kind of solopreneurship you want to build.
Yeah, it's all really great advice. And, both of you, Bilal and Kayla, are two people that I love to chat about running a business with and getting feedback. And have you ever dealt with this issue? Or what have you done when this happens? And it's really nice to have that community of just people that you can really trust to like just get that input too. And you can feel like very honest with what's going on because it can be a very lonely road as an entrepreneur. Like you can
Mhm.
feel like very alone and like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this. Like, who's been there? Who can I talk to? I'm always kind of, thinking about that too. So that's all great advice. Thank you for
Yeah.
Speaking of
sharing.
which, I may be reaching out to Lindsay about
Yeah.
something I want your advice on.
Let's talk after the recording.
I know.
So, Bilal, you've shared so much great information today, key learnings. Thank you for showing us those influencer mailings. For those of you who are listening to this episode, I highly recommend you check out the video version as well, because Bilal showed us some really cool influencer boxes and mailings. We would love to close this episode with 3 actionable takeaways that someone can implement from this conversation right away. So, with that,
Go.
1, 2, 3, go.
3 actionable takeaways. Oh boy. Okay. Uh, I would say the first one is if you are considering an influencer program, a seeding program, make sure you know the space. So that means following the creators that you feel are relevant in your world, reading their comment sections, doing some, Googling or researching to understand how they got there, what works well, what kind of brand partnerships they've done, et cetera. Really diving into that to fully understand before you sign a single check or Venmo, whatever the ACH, whatever the term would be now, to an agency partner or to do it yourself. Second actionable takeaway, I would say really hone in, and this could be on a launch by launch basis or an overall brand perspective, but really hone in on your brand story. So I'll use the beauty industry as an example because that's my area. When we have clients who want to launch a product just for the sake of launching, we always caution them or just flag for them that if we don't have a full story to tell, whether it's ingredients, efficacy, clinical trials, whatever, something interesting or special, we're just going to be speaking out into the void, and that can only go so far. And especially in the absence of like a major celebrity attached to it, no one's really going to pay attention. So make sure, whether launch by launch or overall brand, you have a story to tell that will hopefully get you the feedback you need. And then third actionable takeaways. Honestly, work is work. Have fun. Get some balance. I'm sure this group is fully aware, but we work a lot, work very hard, and we get consumed in the entrepreneurial space because you think and dream about this all the time. But it's so important, especially now, to be like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to respond in this moment or continue working that 13th hour of a workday just to get this done.
It's all great
Mhm.
feedback. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Love that. And I also think as a brand too, and I'm sure that you talk to your clients about this, but also having an understanding of what your goals are of doing a mailer and like working with someone like yourself to say like, okay, this is what we want to achieve. Like, what do you think is best? And like really like working with a partner like yourself to help you like get an idea of like what those goals are, because I feel like a lot of times brands are very confused when it comes to the influencer space, especially if they're new to it. So leaning in on someone like your expertise is very valuable.
Yeah, thanks. And yours.
Bilal, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all this great information with our audience. We really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, Kayla, thank you for having me. What a pleasure to talk, and congrats on all your success. It's really good to see the growth and the cool stuff y'all are doing.
Awesome.
Thank
Likewise,
you.
likewise. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to Dose of Social. We're out.
Bye.
Bye.